Welcome to Wisdom Time. Today, we're going to talk about something central to so many of us, but often kind of misunderstood, the act of dua, or supplication. We tend to think of prayer as just, well, making a wish. But what if I told you it's something way more profound? What if it's an active, powerful conversation with benefits that are literally guaranteed?
All right, so here's what we've got lined up. First, we're going to break down the real difference between a prayer and just a simple wish. Then, we'll get into why asking is always a win. After that, we'll explore the crucial inner state you need before you even start, lay out the anatomy of an ideal prayer, and finally, we'll get to the heart of it all, what it means for your soul to have this direct conversation.
So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. We throw the words wish and prayer around like they're the same thing, but in this context, they are worlds apart. And here it is, the core difference. It's all about passive thought versus active communication. Now, of course, God knows everything that's in our hearts, but a fleeting desire, or even just planning to pray, that's not quite a dua. A thought only truly becomes a prayer when you consciously turn your heart, you directly address God, and you make your request to Him. See? It's a deliberate act. It's an action.
Okay, so that leads us to a really powerful idea. If we make this conscious effort to communicate, what's the payoff? Why is this act of asking so incredibly valuable? Let's explore why it is absolutely never, ever a waste of your time.
This right here is the foundational principle. Just let that sink in for a second. The act of praying is, in and of itself, a good thing. There is simply no scenario where you sincerely engage in this conversation and walk away with a loss. It's like a transaction with a guaranteed positive return. But, and this is important, that return might not look exactly like what you expect.
So while the answer might not always be a simple yes to what you asked for, an answer always comes, and it's in one of these four ways. Okay, so number one, you could get exactly what you asked for. Great. Number two, you might be given something even better, something you didn't even know you needed. 3, your prayer could act like a shield, protecting you from some future hardship. Or 4, the very act of you reaching out can lead to a sin being forgiven. No matter what, you benefit. All right, so we've covered what prayer is and why it's always a win. But before a single word leaves your lips, the real work, the most important part, actually happens inside your own head and heart. It's all about getting into a specific mindset, a set of core beliefs that make your prayers truly powerful.
First up, you have to believe you've got a direct line, a live connection.
The second you turn to Him, He's listening, like right now. Your words aren't just floating out into space. They are heard instantly and completely.
Okay, number 2, you have to know that He is already totally aware of your whole situation.
And this is so freeing, right? Because it means you don't have to stress about finding the perfect words or explaining every little detail. He already knows it all, better than you do. Your prayer isn't about informing God, it's about connecting with God. All right, numbers 3 and 4 are all about capacity. And these two beliefs, they just completely remove any sense of limitation. What this really means is no request is too big. Seriously, you're not asking for something small from a limited supply. You're asking from a source whose power is absolutely infinite and whose treasury contains everything. Thinking like this gets rid of any hesitation about asking for what might seem impossible. Okay, so for 5 and 6, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're moving from what God can do to what He actually wants to do. I think a lot of people feel this, but you are not an inconvenience. Actually, it's the total opposite. The very act of you asking, of you turning to Him in your time of need, that act is beloved to Him because He is generous and He genuinely loves to give. And here's the last one, number 7. This is the belief that really ties it all together with this feeling of absolute trust. See how this ties right back into those 4 guarantees we talked about? It's about being certain, having this deep conviction that whatever the outcome is, it is the absolute best thing for you, chosen by a wisdom that sees the whole picture way beyond what we can see. Okay, so we've got our inner state all set up. Now, let's get practical. Look, you can pray anytime, anywhere, but the sources do suggest a certain etiquette, a kind of framework that can make the whole conversation feel even more focused, more meaningful. Think of it less like a list of strict rules and more like a guide to, a really beautiful and polite way to have this conversation. All right, let's just quickly walk through this framework. You start with Bismillah, saying in the name of God. It's also recommended to include salawat, which is praise for the Prophet, both at the beginning and the end.
Then, before you even start asking for new things, you open with gratitude for what you already have. After that, you ask for forgiveness. When you make your request, it's beautiful to use God's names, like calling on Him as the provider if you're asking for sustenance. And then, and this part is super important, you state what you need, clearly, openly, and decisively. Be direct.
You know, if you're finding this guide helpful and you want more explainers like this that break down big ideas, it would mean a lot if you'd show your support. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our video, and definitely turn on that notification bell.
So, we've talked about the what, the why, and even the how, but let's strip all that away for a second. The structure, the etiquette, what are we left with? What is the absolute, undeniable core of this entire practice?
And really, this is what it all boils down to. Beyond the words, beyond the requests, dua is the most direct line of communication between you and God. It's your soul speaking directly to its creator. It's a powerful affirmation of your relationship, your alliance, and your unbreakable connection.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with today. It reframes this whole idea, doesn't it? Not as a checklist of wants, but as an open line for a conversation that your soul might be desperately waiting to have. Thanks so much for joining me.